Hey everyone, Joe Waxman here. What's up? In this video, I want to look at the astrology of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. So guys, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, book a reading with me. Um, yeah, it's been a while since I made a video. Just really haven't been, I've been going through a lot of stuff, but you know, I'm here, and let's get into it. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Uh, Let me just pull up his Wikipedia page real quick just to familiarize everyone. All right. Obviously Wikipedia is heavily biased and corrupt and bought by the left, so they're going to be, talk negatively about conspiracy theories, whatever. But just ignore all that. Politician, environmental lawyer, anti-vaccine activist, conspiracy theorist, that's a good thing. He's critical thinker. Um, All right. I think most people know most about Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the Kennedy family, son of Robert F. Kennedy, nephew of JFK. Both were murdered. So, I mean, that's pretty significant. Um, he's really into water. He was founded a nonprofit environmental group, Waterkeeper Alliance. Um, Obviously into health and vaccines or vaccine information, uh, children's health defense. When he was young, he got into drugs, and then just like he's been into, like suing corporations and people and um, institutions for about the water and environment protecting the environment. All right. He's done a lot of stuff. He's heavily active and all that. Yeah, that's basically it. All right. Leo rising. So what's interesting is that both he and Trump are Leo rising. He's early degree. But so Leo rising, very confident, very bright, sunny, creative, uh, good for being on stage, performing. Leo risings are it's a very strong rising sign. And of course Pluto, he's a boomer, so Pluto and Leo retrograde um, in the first house. Um, we it's pretty I mean, his chart is not too complicated in being that he's got a shitload of planets in Capricorn, Sun, which is the ascendant lord, and Mercury and Venus both combust, and then Venus exactly or tightly conjunct the North Node, and then Chiron is here as well. So is Spirit, but we'll leave that out for now. But one, two, three, four, five, four planets and the North Node in Capricorn, sixth house, right? So that's pretty intense. And sixth house, obviously, dealing with health, well, Capricorn, very leadership oriented, litigation, combat, fighting for what he believes is right. Right? And then there's a lot of combustion here with the Mercury and Venus being very close to the sun, which is interesting, right? Uh, that would suggest potential burnout, um, but it also could relate to we see that he has voice issues, and then Mercury is ruling the second whole sign house, right? We could look at Pluto as well and probably say that there's something to do with that, um, being in the first house, but probably the Venus in the especially also being the sixth house, it's related to that. I'm not a medical astrologer, so I'm just sort of guessing about that, right? But yeah, certainly second half of life because North Node is going to activate all these things, right? So in his first half of life, we see South Node, Uranus, Moon. Moon's in domicile, 12th house, um, and Cancer, right? And so definitely a much more emotional upbringing, loss, shocks, trauma, right? That's Uranus, especially a retrograde. Um, drugs, right? He was addicted to heroin and he was into other drugs as well. That Uranus is, among other things, uh, crave stimulation, right? It's the shock, the hit, the it wants to stimulate the nervous system, really, stimulate all the systems, but the nervous system in particular. So drugs can come up. It's not like the main thing of Uranus, but it definitely in a water sign, for sure, especially it can be. And then Moon in Cancer as well in the 12th house. Would create a lot of sensitivity and emotionality, especially like if there's loss in the family, his father is killed, his uncle is killed, both murdered, right? That's pretty heavy duty. Uh, so yeah, but also, Uranus would be show an early interest in politics and social awareness, social issues, right? And also like just 12th house in general, a lot of creativity, but like out there thinking, like out of the box thinking like um connection to spirit or intuition, especially a water sign. He I'm sure that he has like at least some powerful guardian angels whispering in his ear, or just even like he's probably a lot more intuitive that he lets on, even potentially psychic. I'm not sure how developed that is for him, but definitely one of the things. And South Node and Moon are not super tight, but South Node Moon conjunctions are one of the probably the most significant indicator of psychic ability, especially in a water sign in the 12th house, Moon in Cancer with Uranus here. There's definitely a lot of psychic, mystical kind of influences going on in his head, and he probably doesn't talk about it because he's in politics or just, yeah, that's something that he's going to keep, to himself. Like the media already has enough dirt on him, um, to make him look bad for the stupid NPCs. Oh, he's a conspiracy theorist. He's a nasty vaxxer or whatever, right? That's nonsense. He wants, um, uh, accurate testing, which they don't have. And he took Fauci to court because Fauci lies about it. And it's, oh, we tested, and he took him to court. They didn't have the documents. He talks about that. RK Jr. What he's doing is amazing, right? With Make America Healthy Again. He's deeply genuine and concerned individual. So yeah, Moon in Cancer in the 12th house, with Uranus. So like his moon, his heart, which is ruling the 12th whole sign house, um, is now because of Uranus, they has a big view. It's looking at the whole world and society as a whole because that's the Uranian perspective. Uranus is outside of Saturn, right? So Saturn is the structures, the infrastructures, the law, the governments, right? And then Uranus has the bird's eye view of all the structures and systems, right? So Uranus is concerned with all the systems, right? And it has the association of Aquarius and 11th house, so it's dealing with groups and networks, right? Global groups and networks. That's its purview. That's its perspective, and it's very familiar with for Robert F. Kennedy because it's South Node, so it's something that he's deeply um, aware of. I mean, he grew up in politics, right? He's a Kennedy. So yeah, I mean, South Node, Uranus, 12th house, and then Moon. So he's like his heart is in it. His heart is deeply in it. It's in Cancer. It's in good dignity, and it's in the 12th house. So just this kind of like awareness of hidden things. Anything when you're talking about, especially like the water houses, water signs, water houses in particular. There's going to be an awareness of things that are hidden, right? And RK Jr. is deeply aware of all the hidden things within society. He knows what's going on underneath the surface. That's the nature of water, right? It explores the depths, the hidden things, and it's water, right? Water house, water sign. And so he's very in tune with what's really going on deep deep in the hidden realms of society, politics, corporate culture, right? The deep state, all of that. Very aware and concerned as well. Um, he's got Mars conjunct Saturn in the fourth whole sign house, fourth house, fourth quadrant as well, right? So it's fourth. And the fourth house deals with home and homeland as well, right? So he's very concerned with the land, right? Water conservation, earth preservation, nature, homeland in general, politics as well. Fourth house can often be seen um, in regards to politics. He's a warrior, right? He goes after through law, litigation. He goes after what he perceives to be injustices and criminal behavior, right? So that's this Mars, Saturn, and Scorpio. Mars is in great dignity in domicile, but Mars Saturn combination is very intense, right? So he's a warrior. He's very aggressive, especially when it comes to defending the water, the land, right? Nature, his homeland, right? That's very evident here, right? And um, yeah, Saturn is dispositing this entire uh stellium in the sixth house, right? So this is what he's doing. It's pretty simple. He's a no nonsense kind of guy. He's very straightforward, right? It's like all Capricorn, Scorpio, 11th house water, like deeply concerned, but he's gonna be have a very, you know, Capricornian leadership style, especially now that he's older with the North Node, right? He wanted to be president. That's very Capricornian, right? Sixth house, but he's all about service to others. Chiron, you could look at that in regards to the traditional sense where it's actually dealing with health and healing. He wants to heal especially in the sixth house, heal the kids, heal the people, right? He's all about make America healthy again, making the planet healthy again. Right? But it's all very intense here, right? Also, like his physical workout regime, he's strong. Like, dude can do more pull-ups than I can. Like, I could do 8.5 right now. I used to be able to do more, um, but yeah, like it's right on the money. It's so intense. Um, but yeah, I would not want to go up against him. I mean, especially like, you know, if he catches you polluting the river, he'll see the crap out of you. Something like that. But he has some interesting aspects going on. I forgot to mention Jupiter. So Jupiter's ruling the ninth. It's actually the eighth whole sign house, but it's the ninth quadrant. It's in the 11th. It's also ruling the fifth whole sign house, right? It's catching the sixth cusp, but I mean, it's so close to Capricorn. I'm not sure. I feel it's a bit more fifth house. But anyway, we could say that fifth and ninth definitely deals with education, right? And so that's 11th. So the groups and networks that he's going to be dealing with are Jupiterian, right? He was a Democrat, right? And so whenever you're talking about Democrat, that's very Jupiterian, the Democrat side of things. Obviously, the modern Democrat Party is corrupt as can be. It's dirty. It's dishonest. And like, if I told you the truth about it, it'd probably get me kicked off of YouTube. So I'll just keep it at that. Um, but yeah, just in general, when you're talking about like, more like social programs, that's very Jupiterian, very Piscean, right? But law as well. Um, is Jupiterian, Sagittarian. Um, so the communities, the groups that he's going to hang out with are in that vein. The Democrats, lawyers, um, yeah, that's his friend group. That's where he's going to find himself. It is in Gemini and it's retrograde, so there's not a lot of religiousness here. It's not very religious or orthodox, and the retrograde definitely would separate him from the crowd, right? It will make him more independent, which he is. Even though he was a Democrat, he joined Trump, right? Which is unbelievable. And I see that actually not there here. I see that. Let me pull up some stuff first. All right. Mo His most out of bound planet is the moon. So that's the moon in Cancer in the 12th house. So he feels he's in order for him to feel to be emotionally satisfied, he's going to have to go to extremes. He's going to have to push the boundaries. That's what out of balance planets do. They push the boundaries, right, for better or worse, in the direction that they're headed, right? And for him, it's this very motherly, concerning, caring heart, um, related to Uranus, so very socially aware, politically socially aware, right? And in 12th house, it's kind of like it's a bit hidden, but it's in his subconscious motivation, right? So that's going to be extreme or strong. Jupiter's retro, Uranus is retro, um, Pluto's retro, but otherwise, it's not too much going on there. Neptune's slow. I checked it out. It's not super slow, so but it's just is what it is. Mars gets extra points, Moon as well, and then the rest are more, neutral-ish. His tightest aspect, which is 0, 0, 0, 0, and I think this is really important to figure out what a person, where their main um, their strongest aspects are, right? Their tightest aspects is Pluto, quincunx Venus. Uh, let's look at that because that's exact. That's exact to the arc minute. 24, 24, 24, 24, 24. I mean, this it's 4 24s, right? And then you get North Node 24 as well, and South Node. Not exact, but still right in there. So this 24 degree is very powerful for RFK Jr. Um, but what this is, Pluto deals with, power, strategy, obsession, but also transformation, right? And what do we know about RFK Jr.? Well, what happened? He transformed, right? The dude literally transformed and shocked everyone, shocked the whole world, because here he is a Kennedy, the most iconic Democrat family in the world, right? And he switches sides and joins Trump. And that is a Pluto thing if there ever was one. And it's North Node, right? Connected to the North Node as well. Venus. So what fourth house, fourth cusp, right? So his home base, right? It's in the third whole sign house, so related to his siblings, but that I much to his siblings' disapproval, he transformed. He Pluto shifted, right? Um, Died and was reborn, right? Transformed. And what else? The 11th cusp, right? So groups and networks. Very, very obvious, right? This Venus Pluto in conjunction. Pluto is in the more powerful position. It's in the eighth from Venus. So when you have this in conjunct, and again, this is proprietary knowledge. Like nobody else is teaching this. This is just based on my studies. When you have a planet, when you have this tight and it's eighth and sixth, and whichever's in the eighth is going to be the boss of the other planet, which is going to be in the subservient service position. So Pluto's dominating this Venus. So Pluto's like, Venus, I'm your boss. You have to change now. You have to transform because I'm the boss and I'm Pluto and I'm the boss of transformation, right? So it's all about this transformation with this Venus, and it's because it's a stellium, it's influencing all these other planets. So this deep transformation, which was difficult for him, it wasn't easy, right? He struggled over. He talked about it, but definitely, it's there as plain as can be. 24, 24, 24, 24, right? Yeah, so that is powerful, right? And it's very clear ruling that the IC and the 11th cusp, right? It's also the 10th whole sign house, so relating to his career and his community, as well as his third house, the neighborhood, but also the IC, the fourth house, his siblings as well, changing. So yeah, there's that deep transformation, right? That's happening. Um, And then the second tightest aspect is Neptune biseptile moon, which is a deeply spiritual aspect because moon's in Cancer in the 12th, conjunct Uranus, an outer planet, retrograde, and south node, and then Neptune. Neptune is the planet of imagination, of spirituality, right? Of expansiveness, of dreams. And Neptune has, associations with the 12th house, co-ruling Pisces, right? So this, and then the septile is the seven, number seven aspect, biseptile, so double, so 14. But anyway, septiles are associated with spiritual, mystical things. So there's something very spiritual about RK Jr. Like he really is tapped into um spiritual mysticism, right? And I think if you talk to him like on a private level, you probably wouldn't get too deep into it on a public interview, but if you knew him on a private level, there probably would be some very deep spiritual qualities and associations he has about him. Um, Deeply mystical. He probably has some mystical stories, like, talking, contacting spirits and things like that. I'm sure of it, right? He's very intuitive, very deeply spiritual, mystical kind of guy. What else? Obviously, the North Node, conjunction with Venus is very intense, and the Sun, and so that creates like an obsession. Um, because the North Node is very driven, right? And so it's tying into the Venus, but also the Sun and Mercury and Chiron, right? So and then the North Node with Chiron is really, really calling to like um a concern for the outcasts of society, the down and out, the nobodies, the homeless, the poor, right? The That's because that's what Chiron represents. It's yes, it's all the sick people, but also the deformed people, the people with no money, with no homes, with all. Chiron is the outcast, right? Chiron is the wounded misfit, right? So anything that follows that archetype, he's going to be all about, especially with Venus here. Venus is care, concern, Sun is the leadership, Mercury's it's all about that, right? He's all about that. This guy's as genuine as can be. I mean, there's literally nothing phony or fake. He would give his life to help people, right? He literally said that, and he literally means it with his whole heart. Um, there's everything in this chart is just like so intense and like driven. And I mean, the one thing that's weak, possibly potentially, is the his community and his groups that he hangs out with, right? We saw that because the Jupiter is not in such great condition here. Um, yeah. But anyway, I mean, he himself is rock solid. Uh, what else? Jupiter conjuncts Mars with Jupiter in the superior position. Again, that is pointing to like the law his strategy of like, attack Mars and Scorpio, right? Especially conjunct Saturn in the fourth. The litigation, the attacking, suing criminals, basically suing people. And he sued Trump a lot. And I'm not saying Trump is a criminal, but Trump probably doesn't have the same concerns that RFK has. RFK is like, no, you polluted the river, you can't do that business deal, right? Like that sort of thing, right? Well, Trump's like, oh, I'm gonna make billions off of this, like so, but it's guided by Jupiter, right? It's guided by his education, his philosophy, his liberalism, and it's Gemini, so it's very intellectual. It's not religious based, but yeah. So that is and that's a good thing because this is probably keeping him out of criminality, right? He's like, no, we're not going to take a hit out on that guy. We're going to sue him in court because Jupiter is in the dominant position, quincunx Mars here. So Jupiter is overshadowing. Jupiter is watching over this Mars, making sure Mars behaves because Mars and Scorpio, Mars in conjunct Saturn in Scorpio is potentially criminal, right? It's like so intense, it's so powerful, so strong, and it's like what just wants to control and dominate. It's like, "Urgh, give me what's mine," because that's the nature of Scorpio. It's the Scorpio has a strong desire to control and to be in charge, and it doesn't care how it's done. It's like just fucking give it to me, right? Or it'll strategize. It'll be like, give it to me, but we're gonna plot, we're gonna plan, and we're gonna drip a little poison into that person's juice or whatever. I don't know. I mean, that's metaphoric, right? I don't literally mean that, but it could be, I guess. Um, Mars, Mars quincunx Mercury. That's very Mars Mercury is great in any capacity for lawyers, right? Because then you get like the aggressive speech, the aggressive communication, the aggressive intellect. And Mars is no dummy either, right? It makes the mind very fast, right? This is a quincunx, so it's a bit more creative. It's not as tight as like a conjunction, but it's still there and it's still pretty strong. It's 0 degrees separating 25 arc minutes. So it's quite strong. And then we get a Pluto, Septile Mercury. Um, yeah, I don't know what to say about that. I mean, that's probably very strategic. Um, he's probably very, very smart. And I mean, the septile is not again, it's the further, the higher number you get, the less impact it has. But septile is number seven, so it's a seven aspect, and so it's still there. And Mars Mercury is going to be very strategic, very brilliant in planning and plotting kind of way, and it also have that transformative quality as well. But good for lawyerism, good for penetrating thinking, seeing beneath the veil, seeing underneath things, which he's excellent at, right? You want to talk to somebody who really knows what the corporation, what the government, what the deep state is doing. He's one of the best. Um, yeah. All right. So I think that's it. I don't want to belabor this, but yeah, this is the tightest aspect, this Pluto Venus, and it does point to a powerful transformation in his life, especially in the second half of his life, right? When this will be activated, and then we saw that, right? So I think that's really what it comes down to. And if you ask me, like RFK Jr., judging by his ch chart, but also by interviews I've seen and just in general, I've witnessed him. He's as genuine as can be. Like anyone criticizing this guy knows that they're full of shit. Like they know that they're barking up the wrong tree. That he has his heart in the right place, and they're being they're corporate pharma shills, right? Like this guy really cares about the people. Everyone else is just like, give me money, make me make me one of you guys, rich and dirty. But he's legit. He's a great guy, and it probably changed the course of the whole planet. This shift from Democrat to MAGA Republican, joining Trump, because Trump knew that Trump was willing to take him on, and I think probably Trump also realized that he needed his support just to push him over the edge because he was going to take voters away from Trump. Interestingly enough, I think Donald Trump Jr., I heard in an interview, organized the whole thing. Like he saw it, way ahead, and he said like we should get this guy on our team. He will help us out a lot. And so he was talking to RFK Jr. before he transitioned and made the deal, and then you know, he brought his father on board, and then yeah, they made it work, and it happened right after Trump was shot, in the ear, missed. So um, yeah, very interesting stuff. Um, I don't question RFK Jr. one little bit. The guy's solid and as authentic and as heartfelt as can be, right? So he's got this triangle relationship here. It's not super tight, but water, very deep feeling, right? And then just solid, practical Capricornian, and then confident Leo confidence. Uh, yeah, there's not really a whole lot else to say. He's just super focused. He's got the full moon. It's not super tight, but it's still there. So he loves he's probably very private and hidden in certain ways, but at the same time, that full moon loves to be social and public and dealing with people and out in the world, right? And his heart is all about that the politics, the social, the networks, the groups. I'm repeating myself. Anyway, guys, I think that's it. Um, yeah, like so for me, I'll just share a little bit personal stuff. Um, Ever since the last awakening, I've had like I'm not the same person I was, and it's been challenging for me to figure out where I want to put my energy. And not a lot is coming up right now. It's very flat, and I'm just kind of like in a waiting period. And so I'm just kind of waiting it out. But I feel like at the same time, like today was or recently, it was the first time I felt like I've made a few videos here and there, but it's just been so hard to grasp onto like anything tangible inside myself. But I wanted to make this video, so I figured I'd just try it and see how it goes, and that's the way it is. And I don't really have anything to say other than yeah, we'll see how it goes. I can't promise anything, but I'll see if I can make some more videos soon. And yeah, I am available for reading. I'm still as capable as an astrologer as I was before. So if you want to book a reading, I'm definitely up for that. Just email me, macrogoldmachine@yahoo.com, and hit that like button. And I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you guys again soon. All right, thanks.